Hi friends and welcome to another video. Today is a bookish video and I am bringing you reviews. I picked up the Meet Cute collection by Amazon. These are 6 short stories by 6 romance authors. And I read them all and I'm going to give you a brief rundown on how I felt about them, what they're about, and kind of just tell you if it's worth picking up. Now, I think the big question of if it's worth picking up is quite easy to answer. I had a lot of fun with these. They were fast, they were easy, they were cute and sweet. They gave me, like, they were cute. Exactly what they are advertised as, they're meet cutes. And I did have fun picking these up. Also, I think it's really worth picking these up if you want to sample some authors before you dive in to their other works. So I kind of had that question in the back of my head as I read these, if I would read more from these authors based solely on their short stories. So we're going to start with The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren. I believe Christina Lauren is a writing duo. I have obviously heard, seen about this author before, but I have not picked any of their work up. In The Exception to the Rule, we follow a boy and a girl, and the boy puts a typo in his email that is meant to be sent to a teacher, but it somehow gets sent to this girl because of the typo. And every year on Valentine's Day, they rush to wish each other a happy Valentine's Day, and they make it a race. And this spans the course of years, and gradually over the years, they start divulging more information and getting to know each other a bit more. And it creates a bond that, even though they haven't met in person and they don't know who the other person is, it's just kind of like they scream into the void at each other, and it's so sweet. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it a 5 stars. I had so much fun reading it. This was the longest one, coming in at 101 pages, I believe. And I really enjoyed this. The setup through the emails was so well done. Sometimes when you have like email or text, you know, conversations, sometimes they can miss the mark. Trying to get that banter into this form of communication can sometimes go really well or sometimes go really bad. And I believe Christina Lauren done such a good job. They done such a good job at making it, enjoyable to read the email exchanges. And then so when we get out of the email exchanges, we already know where we're starting off. We know the characters, we know their relationship. And this was just so incredibly cute. I highly recommend this, even if you aren't picking up anything other than this. I highly recommend this as just a short meet cute story that you can read on its own. You don't have to pick up the others, but I highly recommend picking up this one. And I definitely want to pick up a Christina Lauren book in the future. I think that I'm not sure if they have a 2024 release, but I do believe there was a book that I really wanted to read from this author, and it's been on my radar for a while, and I can't even remember the name of it. So I would definitely pick up a book based on this short story, and I highly recommend the short story in and of itself. I think this one was a lot of fun. Moving on to The Worst Wingman Ever by Abby Jimenez. In this one, we follow Holly, and she is going through a really tough time. Her grandma is dying, and she is a hospice nurse taking care of her. And she keeps going back and forth to the apartment where her gram is. And she one day stumbles upon something on her windshield, and it's a Valentine's Day card. The only thing is Holly broke up with her boyfriend and doesn't have a Valentine's. So she gets this Valentine's Day card, and it has this like cheesy sex coupon in it. And then she goes back the next day, and there's another note left saying, I had to apologize for leaving the sex coupon. No one deserves to be subject to that, because it was meant to go onto his brother's Mrs.'s car. And so he apologizes, and this ignites an exchange between these two. I really liked how Abby Jimenez managed to get every emotion into this book. There was sadness, there was humor, there was the cute and sweet. This, for such a short story, this had a lot of a lot packed into it. It still packed a punch, and I definitely will read more from this author. I do know that this author has a 2024 release. I will leave that on screen. I think I'm going to pick this 2024 release up solely based on the fact that I gave this short story a 4 stars and I really enjoyed it. Next, we have Rosie and the Dreamboat by Sally Thorne. I have actually read from this author before. I read The Hating Game when it was getting all of the hype, and I really did like it when I first read it. I don't know if I would like it as much going back into it now that I've read more romances, but I still had a good time with it when I did read it. So I went into this expecting great things, but it came out a 3 star. It wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst, but I think that there was humor in this that I really enjoyed. I just wish that it went a little deeper because there was some issues that were brought up that didn't have the time to be fully explored. So we follow Rosie, who is on a Galentine's with her sister, and she gets stuck in a deprivation tank, and the fire brigade get called, and the fireman that helps her through this just so happens to be a dreamboat. I really enjoyed the banter in this. I think the banter was one of the things that made me rate this 3 stars. I just wish Rosie had some issues with feeling like the chaotic sister, the less than sister. And I think I would have liked just a couple more pages for that to be explored a bit more. I think I would have also liked a couple more pages of Rosie and the Dreamboat interacting outside of the deprivation tank because it feel like once she got out, it was instant, and I was like, I could have went with a little bit more interaction once they'd seen each other. But apart from that, this was fun. Um, would I pick up more Sally Thorne? I think this is a hard one because Sally Thorne is someone that I've read from and loved from before, so it's hard to take that biases out of the equation. Based solely on this, I do think I would pick up a Sally Thorne because, as I said, it was a 3 star, but I just needed a couple more pages deepening, delving into her and her sister, and delving into them once they see each other face to face, and then this would have been a 4 star read. But obviously, in such a short time, there's only so much you can do. So I am going to give this one the benefit of the doubt and say that I would read another Sally Thorne, but I think my biases might come into this one. Hmm. Next, we have Drop, Cover, and Hold On by Jasmine Guillory. And this one follows a natural disaster. It is a hurricane, I believe. Yes, kind of. I don't know. I believe it is a hurricane or something. I'm totally blanking. Right. Anyway, we follow Daisy, and Daisy has this bakery shop that she loves to go to, but the guy in there, the baker in there, kind of gives her, a weird vibe. He is always scowling, and she's always like feeling really shitty when she goes into the baker. And then one day she's standing on Valentine's Day on the precipice of this doorway, trying to decide if she wants the baked goodies enough. And then the hurricane hits, and she's forced inside, and then she is, forced together with the baker. This is kind of like Grumpy Sunshine, but it's hard to do Grumpy Sunshine in such a short period because you kind of need that time in between to build up the character going from grumpy to lovable, and the sunshine, falling for the grumpy, even though they're complete opposite. So even though I enjoyed this, I gave this one a 3 star also. Even though I enjoyed this, I just feel like this trope that it has going for it lends well to a longer format, just simply because you need that, that interspersedness of the falling for and changing the tune and to create that dynamic. Even though I did enjoy this, it was fun, it was fast paced, and honestly, I'm a sucker for a man that can bake. I'm a sucker for a person that can bake. If you can bake, I'm your friend. Okay, I love food. I personally like to cook and dabble myself. So if I can meet someone that enjoys that also, it's really fun. I really think it's great, exchanging recipes and just enjoying the love of food. It is a love language all on its own, so I really did enjoy that part. of this story. I just think it would have benefited from being longer. And I could have probably read a whole book about this, because as I said, I think it would have landed better to a longer format. And if it was a longer format, I probably would have enjoyed it more. So yeah, 3 stars for this one. I don't think, based on this story, that I would pick up another book from this author. Doesn't mean I'm not going to. When I say I don't think I'm going to pick up a book from this author, it means based solely on this story. I do have interest in these authors, which was why this collection originally reached out to me, because it was a way to sample work before I settled on, reading a full length novel. So when I say I'm not going to read, it means based on this story alone. It doesn't mean that I'm never going to read this author, because I do plan on reading a few of these authors this year. Next, we have here With Any Luck by Ashley Poston. This is a hard one because the premise of this reminds me of a book that is meant to be released this year. I can't remember the name of the book, but it's like the premise of the book coming out this year is that whenever she goes into a relationship, she's like that stepping stone, and then they find their true love. So, like, they go in a relationship, they break up, the person that she's in a relationship with finds their true love. And then she connects with a guy that has the same issue, and they think that if they fake date, they'll cancel each other's curses out. In With Any Luck, it's essentially the same thing, which was kind of a little bit jarring because I was like, I feel like I've read like this somewhere, and it's because I read the synopsis to this other book. So in this, we follow Audrey Love, and she thinks that when she kisses someone, they then go on to find their true love. So it's kind of a similar premise. Um, so she thinks, she kisses someone, they then go on to find true love, and she will never find love herself. She is in the midst of helping her best friend get ready for his wedding, and then the bride has her best friend who's helping her get ready, and they have a little tryst. And it kind of goes from there. They have to help with the wedding shenanigans together, and she tells him about her curse. And it's an interesting premise, and I think if I hadn't read the synopsis to this other book, I would have enjoyed this more. I gave this a 2.75. So this one wasn't the best. I honestly think actually this one was the worst one that I had read, but I think that was because I felt like I had read this story from the synopsis of another book that's released this year. And I think even trying to negate that fact, it just kind of felt like something like I already had interest in this book, so it just kind of felt like a short form of something that I was going to read in the future. And like maybe I'm completely off because, instead of dating then loving, it's kissing then loving, but it's still kind of the same premise. And so maybe that kind of changed how I looked at this book and how I felt about this book, but it was fine. Would I pick up any Ashley Poston after this? No. I have read an Ashley Poston. I think I read Geekerella when it came out. I'm pretty sure that's Ashley Poston. Um, so I have read from this author before. I didn't continue on that series because I was kind of promised a queer romance at some point, and that never came. So this, based solely on this, I wouldn't pick up any more of this author's work. But I do actually own The Dead Romantics, and I do plan on reading that. Um, as I said, just based solely on this, I wouldn't pick up anything else. But that's the fun of this, is to see, where your priorities should lie. And I kind of find it funny that my the book that I actually own and have on my shelf is the one that I wouldn't pick up over the ones that I don't own. I mean, it's interesting. So the last book we have here is Royal Valentine by Sarah Wilson. Now, I actually haven't came across Sarah Wilson before, so this was an interesting one. I gave this a 3.5 star. In this, we follow Lara, who is a princess, and she wants to take the day off, and she enlists the help of her assistant to take her place. They hired the assistant because she looks like the princess, so they can do like a swap if they need to on the spot. So she kind of is like, please do this for me so I can, go out and live my life just for the day as a normal person. And she does, and she meets this very handsome Scotsman. And honestly, speaking about this, I probably would bump this up to a 3.75 because one, I love, like, I'm Scottish, and even though Irish accent is the ultimate accent for me, I love a Scotsman. I really do. It's just, it is what it is. And the Scotsman in this was just well done. Like, he really was well done. And they end up spending the day together, and then things happen. This was actually a really good one, and I'm sitting here talking about it, giving it a 3.5. And as I talk about it, I'm more like, should this be a 4 star? Because, like, the characters, the setup, the situation, like, I really enjoyed this. The only thing that I can say that would bring it down a bit was that I wish I had more time. But, like, isn't that necessarily good? You know what? I'm bumping this up to 4 stars. Yeah, I'm gonna bump this up to 4 stars, which means this is the interesting thing about rating things. So I rate things on my gut mostly, right? If I'm really struggling to rate something and I have no idea where my feelings lie, I will resort to Copile, because that gives me a way to really hone in on what's not working or what's making it hard to rate something. But I mostly go off of gut feeling, because why the hell not? And I think sometimes it takes me talking it through, to really settle on something. And this is a great example, because when I finished this, I was like, oh, 3.5 is fine. But now that I'm talking it through with yous, I'm like, I think this deserves a 4 star, because the characters were well written, the world was well built, and for such a short story, they managed to pack in quite a bit of drama. And the ending was quite satisfying as well. Yeah, I'm gonna bump this up to a 4, and I'm just gonna vibe. So I definitely would pick up more Sarah Wilson. I haven't actually been exposed to this author much, so this will be one that I probably research and try and find something that I want to read from this author. So yeah, I had so much fun reading this collection. I had various results. I will leave on screen my favorite to least favorite. I would pick up Christina Lauren, Abby Jimenez, and Sarah Wilson's work based solely off this collection. Those are the 3 books that really stuck with me. Well, 3 short stories that really stuck with me. So I may read those in the future and bring you some romance reviews. So if you would like to see my thoughts on romance and these authors, please subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when I do that. I feel like it's a nice way to follow this video up, is to try and read some books from the authors I really enjoyed. I do recommend this collection if you're looking for a fun, fast paced time. They're kind of one and done. You pick them up, read them in one sitting, and then not forget about them, but you're done. Like, you don't have to think about picking it up again or think about where the story is going, because you are finished. And I really enjoyed that. I don't know really where I fall on short stories. I haven't read a lot of collections, or a lot in general, to be honest. I even haven't read a lot of novellas. But this year I'm trying to read, different formats, different genres. I'm trying to change up how I view reading and find things that work for me. And last year I read Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca, and I really enjoyed that short story collection. So this year I wanted to try and pick up some more, and I really enjoyed this, and I highly recommend picking it up if you're looking for a fun time. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you are having a great day, great week, great weekend, whenever the hell you're watching this. Remember to stay safe, happy, and healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Pick it up from the top, hit